tent over hot stones and sitting a tent over the top of them. And all the Scythian women used to go delirious. So they knew about marijuana as a pain relief. But Galen does not once mention the poppy or alcohol or any other of the anodynes for relieving pain. He doesn't mention how many men it must have taken to hold somebody down while you're pulling on their leg. All he mentions is what he did while he set the fracture. It's all from his point of view. The book of Lesions of Discontinuity, as I said, talks a little about how to deal with an abdomen that's been split open. The reason, I think, is that he's giving postgraduate lectures. That's what these books are, they're postgraduate lectures. So he's presuming that people who were listening to what he said knew what to use to stitch it up. In another book, the 13th book, he talks about silk that Roman women used to use in their clothes. So maybe they used silk.
So I'd like to open Wayne's discussion for any questions that anybody would like to have for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so.
I guess maybe I'll start off that. It's interesting, Wayne, about when you talk the Hippocratic theory of the four humours, an imbalance theory for medicine or for disease, and it's an imbalance theory of four factors. And when one compares that with the Ayurvedic theory in India, but the same era, it's an imbalance theory of three factors. And if you look at the classical Chinese theory of disease, yin and yang sort of type theory of disease, it's an imbalance theory of two factors. And of course we know that there's communication, also military communication, between those three civilizations. Alexander the Great sort of marched his armies from eastern Mediterranean into India, and then of course the Buddhists and so on across the Himalayas from India to China. It's fascinating how they had similar theories of disease at approximately the same era.
Yes, I think we underestimate the connections with the classical world, with the Eastern world. There's no denying that much of what the Greeks came up with, they probably got from the Egyptians somewhere along the line, and from people in Asia Minor as well, because they had colonies everywhere. Hippocrates, of course, came from just off the coast of Asia Minor at Kos. It's in their literature. All the same stories of the flood are in, not in the Jewish records, but they're in the Mesopotamian records. The same stories, no doubt, went east as well. Still in modern India, the Unani medicine that's practiced today is Galenic medicine that went to the east through Arabic translations of the Nestorian, which we'll hear about later, no doubt. So there's a constant flow of information. The Romans, of course, didn't believe anything that the Greeks did was good until they needed them. The first doctor to practice in Rome was actually a snake. If you go to the island in the middle of the Tiber, you'll see on the prow of what is now the church, the scarf of Aesculapius, and that was there to commemorate when the snake that was being brought to get rid of the plague escaped from the ship. So prior to that, the Romans just left it to the father of the house to issue a few cabbages and hope for the best. And Pliny still carries on that tradition. Medicine was a job for slaves.
Is that really the explanation for the great difference between the Greeks and the Romans? Is just a pure philosophic difference between the two as to why the Greeks stressed medicine apart from other things and the Romans didn't, you know? Or are there other reasons for that?
The reason was that they didn't know anything about it, and the slaves that they brought from the rest of the empire had some knowledge, so they used it. It was handwork.
Roman-based slaves. Where did you get that information from?
Well, before he went to Alexandria, he learned, and he then went off to Smyrna, and then he went to Athens, and I've mentioned a couple of people he followed, people with a reputation. He then went to Alexandria, where it was still possible to see skeletons. No one was still doing vivisection 150 AD. They had stopped 200 BC. If you believe Celsus, they were vivisecting convicts and seeing what happened. But I think it was only for a very short period of time that was allowed. Certainly when the Christians came on, it was nowhere. And even when the Romans didn't like it either. It was all right for Romans to stick people up on a cross, but you couldn't cut them up and look at their insides. They didn't like playing with corpses.
So these people you studied with were not slaves?
Uh,
They had reputation?
I think they were not slaves. These were people with reputation, free men. They may have been freed men, but they were free men who had reputations, and he went to look at them. And he stayed in Alexandria, I think, 4 years, might have been 5 years, before he went back home. In the later Roman Empire, it was said that if you'd been a doctor studying in Rome, you could take it that fellow had a good practice. It's a bit like in the 19th century, young Australians went to London to get the FRCS. He knew that they'd been trained. Maybe it doesn't apply these days, but it did for a long period of time. If you went to Alexandria, there were the medical schools centred around the museum, the library.
Was the status between slaves as a craft and as a profession? How those professionals got their reputation and delivered? Seems
Well,
to be one of those problems I don't understand.
The book is all about treating ulcers and wounds, and much of that's to do with smallpox wounds and blisters of all sorts. Maybe you know about bacteria and viruses.
Thank you. I think maybe we should thank Wayne again for his presentation. So our next speaker this afternoon is Zia Ramani.
Okay.
Um,
My name is Tim. So, okay, I'll introduce myself before that.
Okay, that's fine.
So, thank you so much, Peter, for inviting me. And Peter suggested me to talk about the globalization of Greek-Arabic medicine. As an introduction, my name is Zia Rahman. I've been teaching pharmacology in India for the last 10 years, but here I'm on study leave for 3 years, and currently I'm doing PhD in pharmacology from the University of Western Sydney. And I'm also associated with Messina Academy of Medieval Medicine and Sciences. So most of my presentation would makes the references from the Messina Academy. So just before the Greek-Arabic medicine, I would like to tell something. What were the major developments in the Islamic world during the medieval era? And before I tell something, I would like to quote one of the famous physician, a Greek-Arabic medicine physician. He said, Islam brought education to all, eventually ideas to innovations and discoveries that can be witnessed by the works of many Muslim medieval physicians and scientists. So what happened is, during the medieval era, these were the major dynasties, especially the Umayyad Caliphs, Abbasid Caliphate. They invited most of the scholars from the Greek side, and from the Byzantine Empire they migrated to Persia, and these kings, they not only paid the scholars, but also they kept them and given them the royal patronage to the scholars. And after the Abbasid Caliphs, there was a Safavid period in Persia, and that also promoted medicine, especially Greek-Arabic medicine. And India, it was before Mughal Sultanate and then Mughals, and that's how the Greek-Arabic medicine developed in the Arab world. So Wayne had already introduced about the Greek medicine, but because Greek-Arabic medicine is something which we usually say that this is started from the 10th century during the Asclepian period, and then as the history is traced from Babylonian, Greek, and Mainoan and Indian civilization also. And it's said that probably started, this research and experiment was started from the academic forum of Pythagoras, to which Thales of Miletus and Hippocrates belongs, and he gave what he said, the theory of humor, and then the representation and the practical aspect of the humor theory. After the fall of Greco-Roman civilization, the Syriac and Arabic-speaking world, they expanded and evolved the same principles in the Arab world. Although this slide is too much anyway. So these dynasties actually invited the translators or the scholars, and they migrated from, as I said, Byzantine to the Persia during the Sassanid period, and they fostered the Syriac and Greek learning first in Academy of Gundishapur, and this Academy of Gundishapur is actually started by these Nestorians. In this academy, they not only train persons in medicine but also in philosophy and other subjects. But from medicine point of view, in this academy of Gundishapur or Jindishapur, there was also a Jindishapur hospital, and this hospital actually had many scholars. And if we name many, but like for example, Baftisho family, his family members were there in the Jindishapur hospital. And Jurgis was the head of the Jindishapur hospital. He received royal honors, especially from Caliph of Mansour. There was another scholar, Ibn Masawi, and you can see Bolzea, who translated Panchatantra from Sanskrit into the Middle Persian. Sabur Ibn Sahel, who wrote a book entitled Akrabadin, which has the 22 volumes. Apart from these scholars, after the especially Jindishapur hospital in Iraq, Baghdad, there was Dar al-Hikmah, and in this Dar al-Hikmah, which is also known as House of Wisdom, started by late Umayyad princes and in the early of the Abbasid period. And the most famous scholar of this House of Wisdom is Hunayn ibn Ishaq, or Latinized as Jonatius. He was from Hira. He really undertook massive translation from Syriac to Arabic, and he also translated many books of Galens into Arabic. One of his famous book is Masail, which is Latinized as Isago, and that was also included in Artisla. Another scholar was Sabit bin Qurra. He also did many translation into Arabic, and his son Sinan and his grandson Ibrahim was also a scholar and translated many works. Then there was another family, Zaharun. They were all associated with House of Wisdom. Then related to this period, there were another scholars like Usta ibn Luqa of Baalbek, and he also not only translated but also wrote some books, especially he translated a book of Rufus of Ephesus on arthritis, which is in Arabic necklace. So he translated a treatise of necklace, and he also wrote he wrote a book on necklace and translated Nabis of the Rufus. Necklace is also a treatise of Rufus, but this necklace is his book. Then this Abdullah ibn Tayyib, he was also the Nestorian, and he also wrote some books. And I would also like to tell in other slides this book, Simarul Kutub al-Sitta al-Ashr Jalinu. This is basically the 16 book set of Galen, which was a part of Alexandrian School of Thought, and this was in the curriculum. So Abdullah bin Tayyib, he actually written a commentary of that 16 volumes. So Ashur means 16. So there were so many early translators, and these actually provided the basic literature and the assets for the Arabic scholars. And then many Arabic scholars then came up, and there were Eastern Arab scholars as well as Western Arabic scholars. So from the Arab eastern side, we can name Yaqub Ishaq ibn Sulaiman al-Israeli, who was a Jewish scholar, and Ibn al-Sahel Rabban Tabari, he wrote this famous book Firdaus al-Hikmah, which Ibn Nadim in his book Al-Faris mentioned about this book in detail. And this was actually before Canon of Medicine of Ibn Sina. This was the main famous book which was used in many schools of medicine. Razi was another physician, and he wrote his famous book Kitab al-Hawi, which was recognized as continence. Another physician, Ibn Abbas al-Majusi, also known as Ali Abbas, he also wrote Kitab al-Maliki, which was dedicated to the then King Maliki, and that was also on medical arts. And he also, this book also translated with the Isagog. Zaid al-Balkhi, his famous book is Masali al-Abdan, well, al-Anfus, and Isa ibn Yahya. So Ibn Sina was a main physician of this period, and we will see most of the translation in later slides. So this is one of the facsimile of Ibn Abbas al-Majusi book. It's also available in Ibn Sina Academy, which was published in Germany. Then this is a list of some Arab scholars from the western side. Al-Zahrawi is was the surgeon. He wrote famous book Kitab al-Tasrif, which was translated into Latin also from the school of Toledo. Then Ibn al-Jazzar from Kairouan. He also wrote some books like Kitab Tib al-Mashayikh wa Hifz al-Sahtihim, Kitab al-Nisyan wa Tarukh al-Taqriyat wa Dakhila. And Ibn Juljul was another physician from Cordoba. Ibn Wafid, he wrote a book on pharmacology, Kitab al-Adwiya wal-Mufrida. It's a book on simple drugs as well as the compound drugs. Ibn Zohar, also a famous physician from Al-Andalus. He also wrote some books, and his famous book is Al-Taysir, which was translated into Latin, also it was included in many schools. Ibn Rushd, his famous book was also used in association with Ibn Zohar. His book was on Kulliyat, on universal, and this book is describing many things related to medicine. Ibn Baitar was basically a botanist, and he also wrote a book, and he described many medicinal plants. Ibn Maimun also wrote some books, and actually the commentary on the aphorism of Hippocrates is very famous. He also did some translations from Galen. And after this, this Arabic work then was translated into Latin. So these are the main schools, like in Barcelona, especially a book on anatomy was translated. In Monte Cassino Benedictine Monastery, there was a famous, although there were many scholars, but I'm just listing few persons from these schools. Constantine the African, he translated not only the Dionysius Isago, also Ibn Abbas into Pentagny, and also he translated some works of Ibn Sina. From Toledo, there were many. Word of Cremona is very famous, and he also did some translation of Ibn Sina and some medical works apart from the astronomy side and mathematics side. Montpellier School of Medicine, again you can see there were many translations into Latin. In Padua, in Venice also, especially the Al-Taysir translation, and in Sicily it was the Digest translation, which was done by Fudge bin Salim. Now we'll see actual Greek Arabic medicine. So this book, Qanun Ibn Sina or Sharahin wa Mutarjimin, which is again a book which is very comprehensive. It includes the introduction and evaluation of all the works done so far on Ibn Sina al-Qanun. So this book has the translators, commentators in all languages. Which was first written in Urdu, and then it was translated into Persian. from Iran, and English translation is also done by a Canadian scholar. So this is under printing. This is in a Johar al-Taysir. Again, there is no need to tell about the details, but this is the Arabic version, and the first one is the Latin version of al-Taysir, and the last is the Hebrew translation of al-Taysir. And then the important thing is how medicine was transferred, especially the medieval medicine or Greek medicine, to India. Earlier it was known as Greek medicine, but when it came to India, it is commonly called as Unani medicine. Unani means the Greek, Yunan, it comes from Iran. And this medicine came to India from Arabia, Spain, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, because the Sultanate period and the Mughal period invited scholars from these areas, and this system actually then became the home of Unani medicine, became the home of in India. And still it's a very popular method of treatment, and the government of India also currently patronizing Unani medicine, and there are many schools, many hospitals of Unani medicine, and it's practiced not only in India but also in adjoining countries. India has a privilege that this Greek-Arabic medicine is not only preserved in India, but India promoted it, and now Unani medicine has become the biggest center in the world. So the reason was the Unani medicine was given royal patronage by all the emperors, and after the Mughal, even the state, princes states also patronized this system. They not only allowed the treatment through Unani system of medicine, but also allowed education and teaching, and allowed to establish schools. And also there were many books which were compiled during these periods. This book, again, you can see it's a book, medicine during the Firoz Shah. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a Sultanate king, and this book has history of medicine during the Firoz Shah, written by Shah Quli. Then earlier Indian physicians, as I said, most of the physicians came from central India, and this is like, for example, Zawuddin Abdul Rafi bin Abul Fath Harawi, who was actually the physician of King Khusro Malik, who was the first ruler of Ghaznavi period. Then Abu Bakr Asfar Kasani belongs to the 13th century. He translated in India the book of Al-Bairuni, Kitab al-Sadna, from Arabic to Persian. Persian was the official language during the Mughal period. So most of the books from Arabic was translated into Persian. Hakim Shamsuddin belongs to the Al-Tamash period. Badruddin Damashqi was the royal physician of the Alauddin Khilji. Then we can see that during the Sultan bin Tughlaq, much before the Mughal period, only in Delhi there were 70 government hospitals, and around 1,200 Unani physicians were engaged, and they were giving services. He wrote a book, Majmua Ziyai, and Bua, he also wrote a book, Madan al-Shifa Sikandar Shahi, in 1512. So these were the earlier physicians. So not only wrote books, but also provided literature. The contribution of Indian physician is quite much, but what I can say that they not only preserved the Greco medicine, but also they wrote treatises on every subject of medicine, and they maintained the basic principle, the basic humoral principle, and that was, you can see, still in Unani medicine, and that has not undergone any change. The books which were compiled by these physicians were obviously different from those written by Arab and Iranian scholars, because India has different resources related to the medicinal plants. So they adopt local herbs, They include preparation of large number of new compound medicines, and the composition of weights were also different, and even the prescription were also different. And even in Unani medicine, the concept of Abdal Adviya means the substitution of drugs. Even because if particular drug is not available, then you can substitute with another drug. So that also fulfills the saying of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, that treatment of disease should be done by the herbs produced in the country itself. So India, that's why included many local herbs, which you can find in most of the Indian physician books. After this Sultanate period and the Mughal period came, and even in Mughals also gave patronage to various physicians, and there are again a long list of physicians who were working during the medieval period, and they really worked in not only writing books but also gave their services in the hospitals started by Mughals. Like you can name some of the physicians, and I would like to tell about Ismail Arab. He taught medicine in Delhi, which was founded by Humayun, the great emperor of Mughal period, and many students came from this school. Then another physician, Hakim Alvi Khan Shirazi, he also established a medical school, and all his students literally known as Atibbai Alvi Khani, means physician from the Alvi Khan school. So Atibbai Alvi Khani are the students from the Hakim Alvi Khan school. Then there are many other physicians, and which we can see some of the books. Like first book is Tazkira Atibbai Asr, which is again biography of many physicians. And Nizamuddin Ahmad Gilani, again a prominent physician. Hakim Muhammad Azam Khan is also a famous physician. You can see his book, about his book Asmaul Adviya, where he is describing so many medicinal plants, and some other biographies of some other physicians, Ikram Hussain, and so you can see so many works of Indian physicians. Hakim Akbar Arzani, another physician, and you can see that how much he has done and how much books he has written. Mizan al-Tib, Hudud al-Amraz, Ilaj Sibyan, Tib Nabawi, Mujarabat Akbari, Mufra al-Qulub, which is the Sharia Qanun Cha, means the commentary of the canon of medicine, Qarabadin Qadri, and Tib Akbar. Then even after the fall of Mughal Empire and during the British India, there were some princely states. They also protected this system of medicine, and they gave permission to practice this system, and many physicians also came from these states. So again, you can name so many physicians, but I would like to say something about the contribution of Azizi family, which was actually started by Muhammad Yaqub. So this is Azizi family, and you can see lots of books have already been written on this family. There are so many physicians who came up from this family, and these books are like Matab-e-Muttaish. The Matab-e-Muttaish is the prescription of the Azizi family. Tajdid-e-Tib is also based on the prescriptions from the Azizi family. Maqalat Shifaul Mulk. Shifaul Mulk was the title given to physicians during the English time. So the main contribution of this family is they use simple drugs in their treatment rather than compound drugs, and they avoided opium, cannabis, and they didn't give any drug before the final diagnosis. And they also started a school which is called Madrasa Takmil-ud-Tib, which gave rise to again many physicians, many students, and this school provided complete education of the Unani medicine. And in this, the hospital which was attached to Madrasa Takmil-ud-Tib was again the family, the family physicians. They volunteered themselves, and then they didn't charge anything from the patients. There was another prominent family, Sharifi family. Sharifi family is from Delhi. Azizi family was from Lucknow. So in India there are two schools of thoughts. One is Lucknow school of thought, one is Delhi school of thought. Sharifi family belongs to the Delhi school of thought. So again, Hakim Muhammad Sharif Khan was the progenitor of this family, and this family also wrote so many books, and the family also practiced Unani, and there's so much contribution. But this Hakim Ajmal Khan was one of the physicians who belonged to Sharifi family, and Hakim Ajmal Khan was nationalist also. Apart from prominent physician, he actually then thought that Unani medicine needs to be updated, and his knowledge and his study about Unani medicine, its intricacies, its problems, its future, and then he realized that Unani medicine should be developed in terms of the modern science, and most of the literature needs to be reinterpreted. So in 1906, one of his brother, Hakim Abdul Majid, established an organization, medical organization, which is called as Anjuman-e-Tibya. And in 1910, Hakim Ajmal Khan himself started a Unani school for ladies especially. So only girls were allowed to study in that school. One of his another brother, Hakim Wasil Khan, established a pharmaceutical company, Unani pharmaceutical company, which was later transferred to the medical organization. And this company was later renamed as Hindustani Dawakhana. And this company provided so many Unani medicine, better quality Unani medicine, because this company was changed into Hindustani Dawakhana because of the same reason. So again, these services of Sharifi family and services of Azizi family can't be ignored in India. This is a biography of Hakim Ajmal Khan, which I found here in this National Library of Australia. You can see Hayat-e Ajmal is a biography which was written by Qazi M. Abdul Ghaffar, and this was published from my place, Aligarh, by Anjuman Taraqi Urdu in Aligarh, and I found this book is available here in Australia. One of the reprint is also available in the National Library, Hakim Ajmal Khan, which was published in Modern Asian Studies Journal. So there is no comparison of Indian scholars with the Arab and Persian scholars. Like for example, if you compare Qanun of Ibn Sina and Ibn Betar book Al-Jami' al-Mufrida, they describe 1500 drugs, and the Indian books are discussing 3000 herbs. So they not only copied but also updated and included many local herbs. So again, there is another book, Iksir-e-Azam, which is in 4 volumes by Hakim Azam Khan. This book itself is not inferior in quality compared to the Al-Qanun of Ibn Sina and the Persian works, Zakhir-e-Khawarizm-e-Shahi of Sayyid Ismail Jurjani. So again, I would like to say that Indian scholars contributed more than the Arab and the Persian scholars. Then Indians physicians were very fond of writing pharmacopoeial treatises, and you can find so many pharmacopoeias in India, and and which is also called as Qarabadin. So you can see so many Qarabadin-e-Dara Shikori, Qarabadin-e-Qadri, Majmu'e al-Jawami, Qarabadin-e-Baqai, Qarabadin-e-Shifai, Qarabadin-e-Zakai. So many Qarabadin. The works of Arabian and Indian Iranian scholars are still used in India, and present scholars are still using the references of these scholars and doing research. Works of Ibn Sina and other Arabian writers have been studied with great interest, and presently also some commentaries and with annotations are written on the standard works. Then something about the collection of rare books, especially from Ibn Sina Academy point of view, because I am from Ibn Sina Academy. Wayne has told about the Gallen's work, and I would like to say that Gallen's was taught obviously all over is 16 volume textbooks which was used as textbook in most of the schools. And the commentary was written by Abdullah ibn Tayyib, which was an historian physician, and this complete volume is available in our library also. And this is unique according to Fort Siskin. You may be aware about Fort Siskin. He is from Frankfurt, Germany, a great scholar and great historian of medicine. He is saying that the incomplete set of this 16th set is available in the Iskandariya Library, Istanbul, Turkey, and he is not aware that we also have this book. The publications of other authors are still there in India, and this is a view of our library, and this right side is the catalogue of the Persian and Arabic manuscripts which are extant in the library of Ibn Sina Academy, and we have around 550 medical manuscripts and many on Greco-Arabic medicine. We have books on Hippocrates, Rufus, Galen, Dioscorides, and later physicians. And we have special collections on Ibn Sina, like the old Arabic print from Cairo, and English translation of O.C. Gruner, English translation of Mazhar Shah, English translation of Laila Bakhtiar. Hamdard University in Delhi also translated Canon of Medicine into English, and also in Urdu. So we have English translation for Hamdard as well as Urdu. We have Persian translation, Russian translation, Japanese and Urdu translation, and other treatises of the Galen like Azia Kalbiya, which is on cardiac drugs, Risala Judia, Ilmul Amraz. Ilmul Amraz is the study of pathology of the Galen. Then this is a special collection, collection of Alexandria. The first 8 books out of 16 are available in 2 libraries of India. One is in the Raza Library, Patna, and another is in our library, Ibn Sina Academy. The complete set of 16 books is available in Iran and also in Turkey. And Fawaz Siskin published a facsimile of the 16 books which were available in Turkey. And we have also that facsimile. And Abdullah ibn Tayyib, he wrote a commentary on these, and as I told you, and this is known as Simarul Kutub al-Sitta al-Ashjarinu. And these are the 16 books which were taught in medical schools in 7 stages. In 4th stage, there were 4 books prescribed, and in the 2nd stage, again, there were 4 books of Galen which were prescribed. In 3rd stage, 1 book, and 4th stage, 2 books. So this is a list of Galens. And out of 8 books which are available in our library, we have printed the text